We are live with 20-something Live. I'm Jake Udell of Third Brain, and I wanted to put this together for you guys. I know there's a lot of people over the past few weeks, months, and last year really, as the success started to begin with Cruella and our company Third Brain, that have asked me a lot of questions and sought out my mentorship. As a 25-year-old entrepreneur, I've chosen to take a little bit of a different approach to my life, and I know that a lot of you that may be in college or looking for a way into the industry would love to probably ask questions to those in the industry, especially to the ones that are doing it at your very age. So I'd like to thank you all for joining us. This is going to be a weekly series every week at this time, and I wanted to choose a group of guests that I thought could both inspire and inform you about the happenings of the music industry and entrepreneurship. So with no further ado, the first act here that we're going to bring up, should we call him acts? We should call him acts, is the hottest DJ duo right now in the country. They have the #1 Shazam song in Los Angeles. My operations director, Tiffany, told me 2 nights ago. And they've been doing it for a long time. This is not a flash in the pan. This is the future for DJs. We have the Chainsmokers. Welcome, guys. And I can't hear them. There we go.
Good. There we are.
Alex and Drew, welcome, guys.
What's up?
Oh, all this technology is overwhelming.
I'm going to call Google and ask them what's up.
Yeah, can't you?
What an intro. Thank you for that.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Life is good, man.
The viral sensation, huh?
Yeah. Actually, this #1 Shazam song in the country also. Not just.
Wow, so it's not just Los Angeles, it's everywhere.
Turn up. Turn up.
Yeah, I need better intro points, guys, now.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really exciting. You know, obviously we worked really hard on this track, and obviously on all the music we've had coming out before this that we've always been sending around. But you know, to have this thing kind of unroll the way it has really just been special. And you know, for many reasons, it's been pretty cool.
Well, congratulations to both of you guys. How old are you guys, by the way? By the way, so everyone knows, Alex, Drew, and I have never met in person. We sort of built this relationship over the internet, which is one of the gifts of the internet, to be able to kind of make friends. And we've talked a few times over the past 6 months, but we've never met in person. So actually, this is the first time actually even interacting face to face, even if it's through a screen.
Yep. This is very exciting. You're much more handsome in person.
Yeah. So how old are you guys?
I'm 24 and he's 35.
Not true. 28. My Wikipedia says I'm the same age though, which is great.
Cool. Well, Wikipedia is the truth, in case you didn't know.
Yeah. Right.
That's the way it is. In that book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, it says about the guy who's an author, and for 3 weeks in each, well, it was 1 week in each year, he was on the New York Times bestseller list. But when they put the press release out to the New York Times, they said that he was a 3-year bestseller on the list. And New York Times included that in their article. They went back in and changed their Wikipedia, and they were able to cite the New York Times. So whatever Wikipedia says, of course, is true.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm totally
Trust
down.
your sources. Cool.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing I really want to know from you guys is, when did you realize that this could be a career for yourselves? And I know that there was a couple different phases of the group. When did you guys decide beyond that, not just that it was a career, but that it was time to kind of take it up a notch?
I think the answer is kind of different for both of us. Alex and I met, for those of you who don't know, about 1.5 years ago, and we were introduced by a friend of a mutual friend that was booking both of us individually at separate DJ acts, just basically DJing like club gigs around New York City. And I had a production background, and Alex had been DJing in the city forever. Yeah, they introduced us. We got along really well. And I think he was working in an art gallery at the time, and just DJing at night. And I just graduated, and I was producing pop records for Interscope, and I hated it. And it was kind of, when we met, we kind of had a pretty unified perspective about what kind of music we liked, what we wanted to remix, or what we wanted our sound to be like. And within 3 months, we realized we really wanted to start remixing indie tracks that weren't getting a lot of love from the typical EDM remixers, I guess. And we kind of built a fan base over the past year off doing that and pushing our remixes through Hype Machine.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You guys are known for being incredible communicators. My digital media managers talked to me about it. Even the way you approached me was very different than I felt like other artists had approached me for advice. Where did you guys learn these skills, and how important do you feel as artists it is to be an incredible communicator with the industry as opposed to just letting your team do that communication for you? And are there any specific stories you can kind of give us of instances where your strong communication levels have led to opportunities for you guys?
Absolutely.
I mean, I think personally, like, having your own voice is the most important thing nowadays. I mean, you get lost otherwise, you know. I read these, you know, we all read these press releases that we get sent, whether it's for, you know, Spotify or for up-and-coming artists and stuff, and it's so impersonal. And I think, like, you know, I don't know if these are skills you pick up going to high school or college or whatever, but I think, you know, just being active in, like, your social networks and scenes, you know, you kind of just learn what works and what puts you on. And we definitely have, like, Drew's thrown parties, I've thrown parties, you know, we both are into, you know, hooking up and girls, and, you know, you just learn how to, like, get what you want from people. You know what I mean? Like, it's all connected. I mean, it's essentially, I mean, you really can't just, like, it's not just about the music business, it's about just, like, being a personable person and, like, learning how to get what you want. Like, you know,
yeah,
it's like
what does work? You mentioned that you've got to learn what works. What does work?
Being very gracious and in approaching people, and being very open about how much it would mean to you for you to be able to work with them. You know, when you're just kind of coming up, we would send emails to all these artists just asking them, hey, we would love to take a shot at remixing your song.
But take that extra step. Be like, hey, I also know that this is the first song you made, and that was the first song that, like, inspired me to do this. And, like, you see that, and you're like, you know, even from our perspective, when some kid's, like, you know, goes that little extra mile, and it's like, your first remix around us is, like, what got me into producing. And you're just like, whether or not that's true or not, it gives us a little bit more, you know, you feel like you have more of a dialogue going with this person than the usual, like, BCC, you know, check out my track.
Yeah. I mean, we get hit up, I'm sure, as, like, you know, all your clients do too. They have kids that hit them up and are just like, here's my, some are probably like, hey, I'd love, you know, listen to my song, here's my new track. And when there's no, like, full, like, respectful, like, hey, like, I'm a big fan, I've been listening to your stuff for a long time, I've worked really hard on this track, it would mean a lot to me if you take a listen to it.
Yeah.
Of course we're going to respond to that. If you're just like, we got a BCC'd on some promo email, or if you get, you know, some kid that's just like, hey, listen to this track, or add this to your sets, like, I'm not even going to listen to the song. So it's just about, like, you know, people are accessible, and as long as you go about it in a polite way, you can reach almost anyone.
Yeah.
Or at least someone who works for someone.
I think, like, the major lesson is, it is going to take a lot more work. You know what I mean? Like, but that extra work really gets you to that extra place. You can't assume that people are going to just want to help you. And I'd say, like, the other key is just, like, asking people, like you were saying. Like, there's so many times when, like, we've gotten yeses because we just reached out to people. I mean, our whole Selfie video is just us reaching out to people that we didn't even know. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just being like, hey, like, Nervo, you know, I never met them. They maybe played one of our songs in their podcast before that. And the girls wrote us back and were like, this is a great idea. Like, take anyone you want out of this bunch, you know. And it was just like, wow, I'm so glad we, like, emailed them. And it's like, and people are, you know, you think all these people have really personal email addresses that are really tricky, but, like, it's always some combination of, like, info at or you know, their name.
Nervomusic@gmail.com.
Yeah. Martin Garrix Gmail. That's not it, but I'm just saying.
Martin Garrix Music. No, I don't know.
Yeah. It is some combination. But yeah.
Very cool. So let me ask you this: as you guys got bigger, did you receive a better response from people? Do you think that the numbers, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching that are just beginning to sort of build their brand. How important is the growth, or did you guys kind of receive the same response rate throughout?
In terms of what? Just like...
In terms of people's reactions, like, you guys did a great job of selecting the right songs to remix. Even before I believed in you guys as an act, the records were speaking for themselves. I'd be in a car with somebody and they were putting on your remixes, and like, who's that? And I kind of recognized it from Hype Machine, and it was the Chainsmokers. And you guys have always had really great song selection with that. So did you receive the same response rate early on as you would ask for stems from some of these artists as when you got bigger?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we would go on Hype Machine and find songs that we really liked, and we'd hit up, probably, like 50 artists, and like 7 of them would write back and say, yeah, here's the stems, take a shot at it.
So it was kind of a quantity game. It was hitting a lot of people.
Well, not that many. Not really. I mean, there's only so much good music out there to begin with.
True.
Right.
But I don't think we weren't like. But like you send one to. I mean, we've been trying to hit churches up forever, getting a remix for them in Bastille, and churches have never responded. And we just did a Bastille remix. So it's like sometimes you just gotta be patient and let time take its course. But we knew the music we wanted. I think you gotta have an identity. And like again, just going back to your last question, it's just like about approaching people correctly and making them feel secure. Like, hey, I know this is your song. You know what I mean? Like, I know you don't want this song out and butchered. So like, if you send us the stems and we make something that you don't like, then it's project's over with. You know what I mean? And we'll go our way. And it's almost like there's no contract written. You know what I mean? We can just totally be assholes about it. But
they were all free, right?
Yeah, but a lot of our first ones were free, and some of them that we still do. We just like hit up the artists, the ones we really like get involved about. But it really is just like it's just funny how it works out. I guess is really the answer.
I mean, we definitely started hitting people up, and as our we've had, because of another thing that Alex didn't say before about reaching out to people is we've built the first half of our fan base off of Hype Machine. Is doing the downloads, doing these free remixes, and Alex got every blog to post our remixes in the beginning because he'd write these like very personal, hilarious emails. I don't know if you've ever got one of them.
I have. Wade worked at a blog, and I have seen them.
His sense of humor is pretty demented, and people think it's like hilarious, and it's real, and it's a human connection, and we built real relationships with a bunch of bloggers. Just by calling them by name and learning who they are, and it's forming more of a partnership than just like a promotion channel.
So with that comedic sense, did Alex write the Selfie script?
We wrote the Selfie song together. Yeah.
What about the script?
Yeah.
What script?
Infamous female talking.
Oh no, we all did that.
Yeah, we wrote that.
Yeah.
I love it. How important do you guys think those early remixes were as now you kind of have this moment in increasing your longevity? Do you feel more confident since you feel like you had a little bit of a following prior to, which obviously was no small following, but nothing compared to what you guys are going through right now with the success of Selfie? How important were that early process? I
mean, we definitely, when we made Selfie, we were worried about putting it out because it's really nothing like our previous body of work. But we decided that this is going to be a beacon that's going to bring people to our page, and we're going to continue to put out great music that we love and believe in. That's all really all you can do.
Definitely. You guys are having a moment right now with the record. I'd love to hear about what it feels like to hear your song on the radio for the first time. And did you guys know that this song, as you put it out and you kind of were questioning whether that was the right move for yourselves, did you know that this was going to be a breaking moment? And at what point did you know?
Well, we knew it was funny and we knew it was relatable, but you never know that every radio station in the U.S. is going to be playing your track. There's tons of radio stations all over the world that have added this track, which is absurd to us still. But we definitely knew that we had something that was that was special and that people we think it's hilarious. That's why we made it, and I think our brand we've built it in a way that we just do shit that we like to do. We don't think about the way people are going to react to it. And if we think it's cool, we think it's funny, we're going to put it out.
Yeah, and I think a thing about it is that the song was, I don't know if the song would have been as successful if it wasn't also we had the team behind us that we kind of built, and it's really important as you grow as an artist to surround yourself with the positive people that are going to help push your brand in the direction you want and let you be who you want to be, and then take that and then help you become a better person and build it, because it's so easy to just be told what you're supposed to be, and people always have their hands out telling you. I mean, so many times over the last year we've been approached by all sorts of interesting, awesome people about jumping ship and doing this and that, and it's just and it's so easy to think that the grass is always greener, you know what I mean? But the most important thing is to have, a group of people around you that believe in your concepts and, will eat nails to to get it done for you.
Right. And not try to make you be somebody who you're just not.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, well, like, everything's trending this way. You guys should do a trap remix, or you guys should do this. It's like, if we want to do a trap remix, we'll do it. But, there's no one in our team that's telling us what to do creatively, which is awesome.
You guys just, alluded to team multiple times. How did you go about building the team for this specific single? Talk to us about the partnership with Steve Aoki. Was he the one that brought Oliver and the audience in? How critical were they, and whose idea was the video, and kind of how did it come about?
So Adam Alpert is our manager, and he befriended Oliver sometime around Tomorrow World, and we were we ended up actually meeting him after one of our shows, and we ended up hanging with him while he was in New York. Oliver runs The Audience. For those of you who don't know, it's a social media marketing company, and we played him Selfie, which we had put out as a joke. We put it out as like a free edit for free on our SoundCloud.
The day before, I think.
The day before, and he heard it, and he was like, "Yo, this is very special. This could be huge." He's like, "Let me send it to Steve and Dimac and see if they're interested." So he sent it to them, and they were like, "Wow, this is like." Steve was like, "This is a jam. Like, let's put it out." And Dimac, ended up signing that record, and
you actually pulled it off SoundCloud.
Pulled it off SoundCloud, and we were like, let's make a video that if we're gonna do the selfie thing, let's do it big. Let's not just let's get a video concept that's going to be very interactive, and we're gonna get everybody down with the song. And that's when we decided to do the whole skit with the girls in the bathroom, and then flash all of our fan selfies. So we asked we sent out something on Facebook or Twitter that was like, hey, if you want to be in our music video for Selfie, please send us your selfie to this email address. And then we reached out to bigger celebrities like Hasselhoff and Snoop Dogg and and Cruella and all the bigger DJs, and we got a nice collection of a good mix of our fans and influential people.
Yeah. And
wish I would have done it. I got that email. I wish I would have done it.
I know. You're a bunch of people. Those are the best emails back. They're like Michael George, I think it's the same thing. Avery Andin said the same thing. They're all like, said the shit.
All the managers, we're the skeptical ones.
Yeah, but Oliver was great because he really helped tighten the package up. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of had this concept video as well, but we needed to figure out how to deliver it to the world properly. And Steve Aoki's audience, obviously, is huge. I mean, he's one of the biggest, DJ producers in the world. So having him get on board with Dimac, who's which I consider a very creative company, and also it's nice that they're an American label, pushing this song across all these channels, it gave us kind of the initial kickstart that it got, and now we're to the point where it just got we just got signed by a major label, Public, and they bought out the deal, and they're now in control of the future of Selfie, and it's going to be even bigger than it even was, yesterday. I mean, yesterday we had more.
I don't think anybody controls the future of Selfie. I think that record has a life of its own.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is there was a Fatboy Slim article, and he was totally cool about it. He wasn't a dick, but he was just I don't think you can force feed this. The Selfie song will fail. I don't think you can force feed it down people's throats. And if someone asks us, they're like, "What do you have to say to Fatboy Slim?" And we're like, "We'll just send him the chart numbers when it's all said and done."
I guess that leads to the next. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. My last thing I was going to say is that one thing that I thought was valuable about this as well is that from a producer standpoint, I think a lot of people stockpile their music. You know what I mean? These producers sit on tracks for weeks and weeks. They're so worried that they're going to release this gem and that's the end of the world. But it's not. If you look at artists like Jarjour, you know what I mean? Half his tracks were already released, and now they're getting picked up by labels, and they're going to #1 on Beatport still. So I think the moral of the story is never be afraid to release your music. A good song will become the song it needs to be, regardless of whether you've shown it to the world or not. You know what I mean? And more often than not, it's better to show it to the world. The world is so big. I mean, Selfie, the way we're looking at the numbers, I mean, this thing hasn't even cracked the shell yet. And
no,
it's already,
definitely not.
And so it's just you could forget how you get caught up in what your little clique of friends, if they see the song, then it's over. But the world is so much bigger than that, and you just have to remember that you just got to put out your music, and be consistent, and I think that will go a long way.
I've always been a preacher of getting all your cards aligned properly prior to releasing. But I think that the lesson there, whether you choose to release or you choose to wait until you have a proper setup, either way, it's about great music. And if the music's great, then why not release it? I definitely do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. You don't want to just you don't want to have like a Facebook page. You want to benefit the most you can from putting your music out. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you have your ducks in order, you shouldn't be afraid to throw something up on SoundCloud and get feedback. It's never the end of the world. A good song will always be a good song. And, there's always a shortage of really good songs. So.
Yeah. So one of our guests later in the show, Mike Darlington, and I have been preaching Melbourne Bounce for quite some time. We've been searching for the right artist or song that could potentially take it to the next level, and you guys have obviously done that and commercialized it incredibly. With any success in the pop world, sometimes the reaction can be two-sided. So the bigger the track gets, the more the Chainsmokers brand becomes tied to that record. Obviously, you guys are smart guys, and you know that. So what do you do to move forward with the bar being set so high, and especially when it's tied to such a specific fad as a selfie? What's next for you guys?
I mean, why I think we're in a really good position. A lot of people have brought that up, and we have we have 15 #1 songs on Hype Machine this year. So we know that we have a fan base that loves our music and what we do, and Selfie is inherently a part of our sense of humor, and it's a part of our brand. So going forward, I mean, I think we have a lot of great tracks that we're really confident about. We're collaborating with a lot of people that we've kind of idolized that are now down to work with us, and I think that we're just going to release, kind of keep our typical philosophy of let's just put out what we think is cool and what we think is relevant right now, and stuff that we think will really go far. We'll push harder in different ways than the stuff that we just kind of want to put out. And we've already put out 2 remixes, the Ellie Goulding remix and the Bastille remix, since Selfie came out, and Strange Talk, which all went #1 on Hype Machine. So people are still down with that side of the Chainsmokers. So Selfie's a beacon. It's going to get us a much bigger fan base, and we're just going to keep doing what we think is cool. And
now we have more weapons.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, sweet. We're pretty excited. I mean, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I mean, we were just, a month and a half ago, we were like, if we could just get a song in the top 10 MP4, life will be pretty good. You know what I mean? And now it's like, oh my God.
Top 10 global smash.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we were sitting in Indiana airport being like, people wait their whole lives and never even get this moment. And, selfies, even for fun, we try to recreate, what would be, even if we wanted to create just another novelty song, we're like, what would it be? And literally there's nothing. We can almost, created this accidental and perfect storm of timing and, relevance and vanity and just, a good, like you said, the Melbourne style. And it's just, and it is what it is. Yeah, Melbourne, whatever.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Or it says bubble on.
You guys get the opportunity, you should definitely go tour in Australia. Stereosonic was a blessing to be on tour with some of the greatest artists in the world. It was a very, very cool tour. So I'll introduce you guys to this after the show. But we have a few minutes left here with the Chainsmokers. Be sure to submit any questions you want via Twitter at #20something_live. I'm going to ask one more from me, which is, as we mentioned, you guys are currently the #1 most Shazam song in the world. What do you think are people's fascination with Selfie, and how do you go about now converting those that are fans of the song into becoming fans of the Chainsmokers?
I mean, it's honestly what we've been harping on this entire time. We are just ourselves, and we try to make that as public as possible. We post stuff that we think is funny, that we think is cool. And people are going to be coming back to Facebook, so we just make sure that there's stuff, Facebook and Instagram and all our socials. So we just make sure that there's stuff there that is interactive enough and representative of who we are. And that's kind of what we sell them on.
Yeah, you can't sell people on who you are. And that's something Oliver really taught us, is that you can you only can put your stuff out there and suggest who you're going to be. You can't find fake fans and promoting yourself too hard to them isn't the way you want to go. You just want to piggyback things that you have in common with people and stuff. And the people that will buy the record, our next record, they'll be retained. They'll be interested. And the people that won't, we'll get them on the next track.
I love it. Very cool. So I'm going to take a question from the audience out there. at Dirt Cheap Music wants to know, as a producer with a decent fan base, what is the best way to get connected with bigger circles of artists?
With what?
Bigger circles of artists. I think he means artists that are bigger than himself.
Yeah.
So overweight artists?
Bigger artists. Artists that are, yeah. Oh, he's already. I just called it. Wow, I'm slow.
I mean, like what we've done is we've just reached out to people very respectfully, and when we thought that we had something that we could offer them, and through the right mediums, and that's really all you can do is and do it consistently, and try to. And that's basically
Don't overwhelm someone. Don't shoot. If someone responds, when Tiesto first responded to us, we were patient. We didn't overdo it. Send him 1,000 tracks. In fact, I don't think we sent him anything right away. He was just like, here's my email, send me some stuff. When we had something that we were like, this is totally his speed. We shot it over respectfully, and we didn't expect a reply or anything. And then it was on his, Club Life podcast, and it's like you just have to be patient and position yourself in the best way. And we don't even know, we haven't even met Jake, like he was saying. So it's like you just gotta be cool with people and let time take care of the rest. And if there's a festival in your city, you can finagle getting backstage and shaking some hands and stuff, but
don't act super thirsty.
Yeah, just be cool. Just be cool. No one likes a thirsty bucket.
Those girls in front of the mirror sure were thirsty in that selfie video. But okay, last question. Period. Where are you guys going to be 10 years from now?
Oh, I don't know where I'm going to be a year from now.
Yeah.
So no plan for the future. One day at a time.
I mean, we're just going to keep doing this, and it's been an adventure. And once you do one thing, the next logical step kind of presents itself. So I think we're kind of living life that way.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Alex and Drew, I know how busy you guys are on a tour that is soon to be global, and I'm calling it now, but potentially the #1 song in the world, Selfie. Congratulations to both you guys. I've been a fan of music for a while. I've been a fan of your music, for a while. And for anybody watching that only knows you guys for Selfie, I hope they go check out the Small Pools Dream and Remix and Asters Operate, because those Chainsmoker remixes are amazing. And I know that you guys have worked hard for this for a long time, and the success is well deserved. So thank you for joining us at 20-something Live. I hope to see you guys soon in LA.
You're the man, Jake. We love you.
Thank you so much.
I forgot everything.
Cool. All right, guys. Shifting gears now from an artist to a manager and partner at a publishing company. Some of you may not be as familiar, but he's one of my very close friends and a future industry mogul himself. I want to welcome my good friend Nick Jarjour. Nick, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
What's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
How you gonna compete with the Selfie guys, my dude?
Oh, there's no competing with them. They're amazing.
Would you have
in the background? I don't do selfies,
Yeah, would you have done when you got the email? Would you have submitted your selfie picture?
I try to play that background part. I'm not trying to be in any pictures or any of that.
So what's it like playing the background part? Tell the audience. I know what you do, but everybody listening or watching might not. So why don't we fill them in on what you do?
Yeah, I came up as an artist and a writer and producer for 15 years, and at one point I realized all these people were so much more talented than me that I could help with business. So, your job as a manager or as someone helping creative people is really to be a vehicle for their vision and to allow for them to grow. So can you guys hear me?
I got you, brother. I just had a little technical difficulty. Was trying to get it figured out. All good.
Yeah, so, really it's just about helping to highlight their vision at the end of the day.
I love it. Very cool. So as a young entrepreneur in the industry, we often wear a lot of hats. And I know that you've kind of adjusted from being on the publishing side to being a manager. You guys have your own house now. What's it like wearing all these different hats, and how do you balance them?
I mean, I think it's about working with the right people and having people who don't necessarily overlap and being able to create a community of writers and artists and producers that complement each other and just focus on a few key people rather than spreading yourself too thin. That's my thing and what we've been really doing here at Dream Machine.
And I think one of the concepts that the Chainsmokers mentioned too, which is probably going to be a theme of our talks today, is team. How important the team is. I know that I've been an incredible marketer for a lot of years, but Corel is also an amazing product, and they're amazing artists more than even a product. They're very talented individuals. So having that right team, and it wasn't just even us as managers and artists together with them, it was really building that full team that kind of allowed things to rev up a gear. How did you build your team? Where did it start? Who were the first key players involved? And how did you leverage it to take it to the next level?
Yeah, so the team really started with my partners, Circuit and AG, who came up together as producers. And, I've been friends with Circuit for like 15 years, and AG for like coming on 9 or 10. And basically, as things started to develop with him as a producer and them in LA, I was doing different things in the music business and where I come from, Canada, and they were like, hey, why don't you take all that experience and bring it over here? We start something new. I was like, I love this. It was like a dream come true. And, the foundation of it was these young producers that I really believed in and saw a great vision. And I was working with them with the labels for years before that, Kevin Figs and OC. So we signed them and started building it. And we're really like, our whole thing was, let's create something for the creative people. It's by creative people for creative people.
And is that where the dream? Talk to us about where the dream, the name comes from.
Dream Machine is really like, there's a lot of different kind of meanings behind it, but one of the ones that I could kind of give you some context is like the yin and the yang. The effect of the dream and the machine and how those two things connect so much. That's really one of the big foundations for me, at least.
Cool. You, like myself, have a creative house as opposed to an office. Mm-hmm. Have there been any issues yet at the house? Are there any times you wish you didn't live where you worked?
Well, the house here is really different. It's more than a house. It's like we call it a music incubator, and basically each different room is a studio, and all of the writers and producers get to live in their own creative space. There's so much going on and so many artists and sessions going on at any given time that everybody's kind of in their own zone, and then they come together collaboratively. So like, sometimes someone will be making a beat out in a communal area, and then another artist might come and sing on it, and then a new record gets formed. That's really fun and exciting. So I don't think there's ever been a time where I regretted that, because it's really incredible. It's very inspirational living there,
Well, when you live it, you live it. And sometimes you live in it, which is, I know, what you do. Cool. So you have an artist right now that's starting to create a lot of buzz online. Talk to us about the artist you manage by the name of Ali X.
Yeah, Ali X is really dope. I can't, say too much about her because, like any of my people that I work with, I really like them and their art to represent them rather than my words. What I can say is, like, it's a really rare thing to find an artist that you feel kind of meets you head to head and kind of believes in you as much as you believe in them, and having that kind of push and someone so talented and so creative to work with is really fulfilling for me. And she's so unique that she's like a living Tim Burton character, and being able to have that type of person as a client is just like really, really fun,
You mentioned the talent, the creativity. Was it that about Ali, or was there something so specific that really grabbed you? Because I remember how focused you were on the publishing tip. Not that you aren't now, but Ali's really become a focus for you and your day-to-day priorities. So what was it specifically about Ali that just really grabbed you?
Well, we originally signed Ali as a songwriter-producer to the publishing company, and as I was going through that process, we were signing her as that. As I was going through that process, and the first time I ever met her, she played a song for me that she wrote and produced in the restaurant, just on her laptop, and I was blown away by it. Like I was like, what? I don't understand. You wrote and produced and sang this? It was so incredible. So when she told me, Nick, she was like, Nick, I just want to put this music out. One day we were talking about, whatever it was, and she's like, I just want to put this music out as Ali X. And I was like, cool. The next day we started. It's really about having a partnership with your client where you take their hand and you don't let go, and you're willing to soar with them to wherever and do it on a marathon level,
Yeah, you mentioned to me when we met with this past weekend an absolutely insane amount of records that you have that are unreleased. How important do you feel like it was in building that arsenal to find her sound and then for that sound to sort of dictate some of the marketing strategy you guys have used to release your first initial single, In Catch?
Well, you know, really, Ali is the visionary with that project specifically, and any artist I work with, I would like to specialize in a realm with artists who are truly visionaries and know exactly what they want. At that point, it makes my job kind of more facilitating that vision and going outside of that and doing some adventurous, cool things with it. So, she has so many awesome songs, and she's constantly writing with other artists and writers and producers. She's in a Madonna camp right now and just constantly cycling things through. So from my perspective, it's like the most important thing is finding a record that the artist believes in. I think that they're the ones who have to get on stage. They're the ones who have to perform it. And most of the time, record labels or managers really respect it when a big artist wants to choose what they want. But, newer artists, they like to dictate every move they're going to make. And I think, that's not the type of artist I really want to work with, because if they can't believe in their product, then how can I,
Of course. So where are we going to see Ali 3, 5, 10 years from now?
That's to be told by the future. I'm not a fortune teller, but what I can tell you is that I believe her music will live on for decades. She's the type of artist that I'll be listening to for the rest of my life, and as long as her music is shared with people who enjoy it, that's really all I could ever ask for any of the music that I work with. We definitely affect people's lives in a positive way when they smile a little bit or they feel happy when they listen to a song, and you can't buy that or pay for that. So that's really the goal. And if we could do that for a long time, then we're winning,
Ali's obviously, definitely. Ali's part of a new age breed of artists that, over the past few years have really taken over the industry. They make their music digitally. You mentioned that you'd be listening to Ali for years to come. I manage digital artists, obviously, as well. Do you feel that that technology that now we have accessible to us makes it more difficult to make timeless music that's going to last for generations?
I think I don't think so. I think that when you have a lot more tools, sometimes it's difficult to build something really minimalistic. And sometimes when you give a man just a stone and a file, he might create a beautiful statue. And that's kind of the perspective I come from when I work with talent, is try to start with very little, and then if they can build a lot with that, then open up the floodgates so that they use everything real specifically. And I think that music is shifting in genres, and the defining lines of genres are kind of getting blurred. So I think it's about those artists who are not afraid to push the boundaries but make great records. They're the ones who are really going to win. Music is changing so much right now. Nobody knows what's really next,
Definitely. You guys are in a very fortunate position because you haven't sold your master rights to a record label. And obviously now you put out one song, the record labels are coming. They're knocking on your door. They're flying you to different countries, trying to get a piece of the world that is known as X. So what do you do now in that situation? What are you looking for in a label partner or in a label deal? And at what point is the right point to make that deal?
It's really hard to speculate that. Right now, and from the inception of the project, it's been all about us just pushing this organically. And, we've been doing that. The song is right now the most added song on Top 40 Radio in Canada. And, it's like little things are organically happening without us even pushing. It's more pulling these people in. And, really at the end of the day, it's about the artist. And the artist specifically just wants to share her music with as many people as possible and create such a positive message through that, and an inspirational thing. So for me, I just kind of want to run with that vision and help support it. Which label, when, how, I couldn't speculate. You have situations like, Cruella, who's signed to a major, who, did amazing things and it really developed well. And you have situations like Macklemore, who kind of did his own thing and also really did it well. with certain strategic key things. You know, is one better than the other? Not necessarily. I think it's all about like the right artist and the right deal and the right time. But for now, you know, everything falls into the world of X. It's all about this X army that Ali's creating and kind of this movement around that world.
Cool. I'm glad you mentioned Canada because that's my next question. I'm sure there's a lot of industry hopefuls out there watching, and out of our audience, I'm sure that some people want to know, as you make a move from one city to another, in your case from one country, even if it's just a neighbor away, to another country and city like Los Angeles, country being USA, obviously. How do you begin to network there in that new city? And do you have any advice for people out there to how to start building relationships and how to make themselves valuable? That's something that, you know, I'm going to go on a rant here real quick, but I've noticed of recent where I get so many resumes sent to me all the time, people that want to work for me. And I don't usually open the resume, but if I got a cover letter, I'm going to open it up. Because I just am waiting for the one cover letter that gets it right. All these cover letters say the same thing. They say, here's what I've done, here's what I know how to do, here's what I'm doing right now. But I don't really care about any of that. I care about one thing, which is the same thing that I think everybody in this world truly cares about, which is WIIFM, what's in it for me. Yeah. And I usually write back and I say, what can you do for me? And they say, well, I can do all the things. I said, no. You said all these things you can do, but what can you do for me? What ideas do you have for my clients? How can you build my business? Was it important to display value to these relationships you started to build early on? How did you go about building your network in Los Angeles to what it is today?
Yeah, I mean, you know, first of all, I think to echo what those guys, the Chainsmokers, the really smart guys, you know, what they said about not being too, like, thirsty and whatever. You know, I don't really like mosquito-type people who come, get what they want, and go. You know what I mean?
Mosquito-type people? I love it.
You know, they move from person to person, sucking what they want and then moving on. And, you know, there's a difference between a social butterfly and a social climber. You know, I will always support a social butterfly, but social climbers are people who you don't want them in your circle. So it's like, how do you also walk that line? From my perspective, you know, I've always been a human being who's had the ability to connect with people. That's one of the reasons why we're managers, you know. We're able to connect and convey a vision a certain clear way. But, you know, when coming out to LA, I had an opportunity to really build a vast network, and, you know, I try to work from the top down and then the bottom up as well. Like, there's no intern who's too kind of green or no executive who's too old for me to not be friends with, connect with. I really see how I can help them. Like you said, you know, if I was one of those kids and what I did as I was coming up in the game was trying to see how I could help others. Sometimes you get used a few times, but through that, you build a track record. And you should never view it as getting used. You should look at it as, hey, I'm helping people. Because if you're sitting there and helping people without anything, without expecting anything back, I think really great things come from that. You know, I don't hire people who necessarily send me resumes either, because I'm looking for someone that a trusted friend is going to say to me, Nick, you got to work with this person. So I don't care if they have no experience or if the guy with the resume comes from Princeton. The Princeton guy might be flaky. You know, it's this other person who is proven and delivered that I might be more inclined to give a chance to, you know. So going back to your question, though, not to rant, you know, when building your network, I think it's about creating real relationships and focusing on those relationships. Like my business partner.
How?
So one of my business partners, AG, always says this. He talks about the power of one, you know, and this is so, so true. Whether it's one individual in the music industry who connects you with 10,000 people, you know, if you don't focus on that one and connect with that one, you still wouldn't be able to have that power with that other 1,000. So from my perspective, it's quality, not quantity. And if you have a great product, the main thing for me, I don't think people like my pretty face or they want to talk to me all day. I think my product is so strong, and the things that I deliver, my word, is so strong that people come back and come back. Now, maybe my pretty face will grow on them, but I'm not counting on that.
I know mine won't.
Yeah, I never count on that.
I love it. Very cool. Very cool. So you and I had a crazy conversation at 9 in the morning on Sunday morning before we proceeded to make an impromptu meeting later that afternoon. And, you know, we were both kind of very excited as entrepreneurs get. So, Nick, what's in it? What's the relationship between you and I going to be 10 years from now? Where are we going to be?
Oh, man, you know, Jake, you know, you're someone who so many people are constantly, you know, talking about us in the same sentence, people that I respect. And when I hang out with you, it's like I said, with that same relationship I might have with one of my artists, it's like head to head, and we're always trying to push the barriers, and we're both very kind of abundant guys who I think what we do comes from a place of love. So, you know, I think we'll always have not only a really strong relationship, but be doing some really strong things together. And, you know, obviously bosses move in silence, so there's not much that can be said towards that. But, you know, there's definitely a lot of cool stuff coming, and I look forward to all the cool shit that we're going to be doing together.
Me too, Nick. Congratulations to you and Allie and everybody over at Dream Machine. Look forward to coming by the house again soon, and thanks for joining us in this first episode of 20-something Live. I hope to see you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Jake. Take care.
Anytime. All right, guys, so this next guest, I'm sure many of you have been waiting around for. He's the recent cover story of DJ Mag in Canada, which I can see from the smirk behind this face that I kind of have in the background here. He's very excited as the first thing in his introduction. But Darlington himself is one of the future changers. Is that even a verb? The future people that are going to really change the game in the music industry, especially on the label side. He's a visionary. He's an innovator. He's taking a partnership and formed instead a company that I think is approaching 15, 20 people. But beyond that, he's created a record label that currently is on its way to amassing 1 million singles sold. They have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and arguably the strongest community out of any record label on the planet. And he's only 24 years old, and he's done it all in 2 years. So with no further ado, I want to welcome my good friend Darlington of Monstercat. Mike, I cannot hear you, brother. You are muted, sir.
Of course, that would happen, wouldn't it?
There's that pretty face from the DJ Mag cover.
There we go.
I want to handle your modeling career after that.
You can. I'd love to have you as a manager. We'll do some creative campaigning.
Danielle's ready. She's got photo shoots lined up for you.
Perfect.
Amazing. So I want to start with something that I hear a lot of times about Monstercat, which is a giant misconception. A lot of people mistake you for being a YouTube channel, but you are in effect a full-fledged independent record label. Can you please fill the audience in a bit more about the origination of the Monstercat identity, the business model, and how you are much more than a YouTube channel?
Okay. Well, you know what? I can kind of see where the confusion would come from with us being a YouTube channel versus a record label. Because really when we launched it, Monstercat was just a place for friends and my good friends who were musicians to share their music. And really we focused on building a community through YouTube, because YouTube was a platform where you couldn't be successful unless you were able to create a following and create a community. So it was very much an evolving concept from being just this YouTube community to providing the services that a record label would need to provide. And really it's just evolved from that to where we are today. I'm not sure, can you hear me clearly right now?
Yeah, for the most part.
Perfect.
How'd you do it all by this age, though, Mike? You're only 24 years old. I mean, Monstercat has grown. When we started working together, it was barely a blip on the radar of the dance music community. Now, if an artist posts on their page and says, "What's your favorite record label?" you know, you're the first one shouted out. I mean, everybody kind of has this certain respect for what you're doing. And I think everybody that's out there, hopefully a lot of entrepreneurs, because this is really what this video stream is geared toward, are interested in how does somebody go about leaving college and 2 years later have 15, 20 employees?
It's a really good question.
With no investor, there's no machine behind you. You are, and how'd you make the relationships? How'd you make the connections? How'd you get to where you are?
Okay, so as you know, really I was in school when we first launched Monstercat. I was in my last term of university. Ari was in his last year. And Monstercat started, as we said, as a YouTube channel and as a pet project and a side project that really just every day and every night we would meet up and we'd have ideas and we'd say, how can we improve upon this and what can we do differently? We never knew what it was going to become, and we still don't know what it's going to become. We just wanted to try different things, and we were flexible trying things because really we had nothing to lose. And it became an addiction almost. All I could think about, all I could do, all I could talk about, everybody around me, it was Monstercat all the time. And I lost friends. I had damaged relationships. Like it was crazy, but I think I had to go through that period. But yeah, we still don't know exactly where we want to be a year from now, but we do have these core beliefs and these core concepts, our ethos that we always stick to. And I think that's been powerful for us.
I see the Monstercat in the background there on the shelf. I don't know if that's a plush toy or a... Where did this idea come from? What does Monstercat mean? Okay, so Monstercat originally was actually one of our friends' names in a video game. And at the time, we were trying to create, as we said, that YouTube channel and that place to share music with a community of people. And we were laughing on Skype one night about the possibility of, like, oh, we could call it Monstercat, or we could call it Velocilobster. Like, we just wanted to go with something that was fun. It was born from the internet. It wasn't something that people would take too seriously, but at the same time, like, we could brand it and make it something. Because most of the names that a lot of record labels use, like, you can't really associate like an image with it. But with Monstercat, like, we always knew kind of what we wanted our logo to look like and kind of the world that we wanted to be in. Because we came from the internet, and we're still very much an internet label who is now breaking into the real world. How much power is in a name? With a name as random as Monstercat, obviously you can build a whole world, which you've done, not only just a character for the label, but a lot of the artists, I think, have idolized your branding skills and then sort of created their own icons and characters. I know Peg Bordner is one of the acts that we manage here at Third Brain. We've gone and done that on our own, and I don't know if we were influenced by you or not, but it definitely has created a certain kind of community and culture. So how important do you think that name was to your success, or was it just another name?
I think the name, in a way, was everything. It was something that when people saw and heard, they're confused, like, what is this? It doesn't sound like a record label. It doesn't sound like anything. It in a lot of ways, it was something that was silly, but that, at the same time, it was something that we could create and we could mold and we could turn into something because it didn't have a meaning. There was no defining definition ahead of time. So it goes back to that core. We wanted to have this community of people that loved music and wanted to share music and wanted to have fun while doing it, and that really is what kind of backed the brand and the name. And every decision we make, whether it's like an art decision or the type of music or the type of artist we want to work with, we ask ourselves, does it fit into that ethos? And that's really how we've moved forward.
You talked about the ethos, and you mentioned that you started this while you were in college, which I think is so key. I started my first business when I was in high school, had numerous failures throughout the rest of my education after that first success, which have all brought me to this point that I'm at today. But I'm sure a lot of people out there want to know how did it really start? Like, how did you actually begin to get connected? How did it start to grow? What were some of the key moments when you knew it was going to become something bigger than just a YouTube channel?
I think the day that we realized that this is going to be something and that we were doing something that had impact was when I heard from the first artist we were working with that he had quit his full-time job and he was working on music full-time. And to me, I remember kind of reading this message. It was probably, I think it was on Skype, and I remember just feeling so happy. Like, I couldn't believe that this little fun project we started on our own time had such an impact on somebody that they could make it their career. And it just grew from that. And the projects occurred where we would take a little bit more of a risk, and we would try to reach out to a little bit of somebody with a little bit more influence. But I don't think we ever really overstepped our boundaries. We just kind of slowly evolved and worked with people and were introduced to people and kind of stumbled upon people as well. Like, the way we met. It was, we had grown a strong brand, we had a community, and you were interested in bringing Corella to us so that we could introduce them to our audience, and that you became one of my closest friends and my mentor through that first connection. And really, I'm not the type of guy who goes out there and says, I really want to meet this person. I'm the type of person who wants to work with people and befriend people, and they introduce me to other people, or they bring me out at night, and that introduces me to somebody. And it really is it's incremental. You're not I never really had a plan for it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, your channel definitely gave the opportunity for artists like Cruella to showcase music early on in their careers, especially before there were other labels out there that believed in them. I know it's a goal of Monstercats to give a voice to the unheard, the unknown, and the unsigned. How do you break through the noise and continue to provide such opportunity to young artists? And what are future marketing resources that your artists can look forward to that other labels might not be able to offer?
Okay, that's a good question. I think one of the opportunities we have is that we've developed such an amazing community of people that get equally excited when we are introducing a new artist to releasing music from somebody we were already working with. So it creates this amazing platform and this level playing field for these artists. And it really does allow for us to bring in new people and give them their first shot. And really, once we've given somebody a shot, we can now gauge the community reaction, the industry reaction, how my friends feel about it. And from that, we can make decisions about how we're going to invest into them in the long term, whether it be from a brand campaigning or press, or we do additional marketing, or we invest money into a music video. We can make those decisions based upon giving them that first opportunity. Like when we first started, it was about giving people that first step, and it was a stepping stone. Now, really, we're trying to paint the full picture for an artist and create a full story. And the thing that's amazing about Monstercat and our community is that you can be a part of somebody's story from the beginning and really go from the beginning to the end. And we don't really know where the ends can be. Just for example, Cruella, we have thousands and thousands of people that were there with them from day one and know every detail of their life, and they feel invested, and they feel like they're a part of the project. And those are your most important fans. Those are your 1%. And I hold them really dearly to us.
You mentioned new artists and how the Monstercat community loves when you find cool new artists. How do you go about finding new Monstercat artists, and what's the best way to go about finding you for those artists?
We get this question a lot, and I think that there's two sides to it. There's the traditional side, of course, where you've got your A&R and you get your demo inbox, and let's
stop right there for a second. How many demos do you guys get a week?
Right now, it's between 500 and 1,000 each week. I'd probably say on average about 750.
One of the things I really admired about you, Mike, was you care so much about your community, because it's a lot of the fans sometimes that are submitting music, that you went as far as to hire somebody to go listen through all those demos. You could have just left them because you have some great artists ready on your label. The great ones will eventually find you. You didn't have to hire somebody to go through that demo box, but that's how much you care about finding that next artist and continuing to give back to the community, which I've always found really inspiring.
So what shocked me the most when we started moving up in this industry is that isn't a standard. I was blown away. Like I thought that
you set the standard, Mike.
These are people that are investing their lives into you, and they're so passionate about you, and you see them messaging every day, and you learn their display pictures, and you learn their usernames, and you're not going to take the time to listen to their track. But like, you know what I mean? I didn't know that other labels don't listen to your demo inboxes. I was blown away. So it just made sense to me. So yeah, we have somebody who listens to every single demo, and usually you can tell in the first little bit of a demo if the track has potential, and they'll go through it. And I'm not saying that, I apologize for this, but I'm not saying that we have a chance to listen to a full 7-minute or 5-minute track every time, but we're able to listen to enough of it to decide, okay, are we going to listen to the rest of it, are we going to send this to other people, or are we going to move on to the next? So we do our best, but when you're receiving that amount of music, you really can only do so much. And I did want to touch on one other point, and the fact that there is a traditional side, which is a demo box, but I think that it's all about the new age way of finding artists is what I really believe in. It's things like, at the moment, I don't know if many people know this, but I developed a YouTube network of curators, people like Mr. Suicide Sheep, Proximity, Tasty Network, Trap and Bass.
And curators being channels that post other people's music, correct?
Yeah, they go out there and they try to find the best music they can in the genres, and then they present it to their fans. Now, those people have become some of my closest friends, and they are our A&R. They're the people that are digging down every single day, and when they find someone who's really interesting and has a cool brand they see can fit with us, they send it to me. And that's another way, and that's something that didn't really exist in the traditional.
Talk to us about the EDM District. How many channels are part of that network? How does it work? How does it make money for the channels, for the artists, and how does it benefit both parties?
Okay, so we have about 550 channels in the district right now.
And you guys started 18 months ago?
Not even. It's only probably been 8 months now. We did have a little bit of a side project to Monstercat, which we split out into its own company, which became the district. But really, what we do is we work with either artists and labels to distribute content to these curators. We work with these curators to develop their brands and provide more promotion for them. It's really and try to help them better monetize their content. So the way a YouTube channel makes money is basically they make money every time someone clicks on one of their advertisements. And by being their network and by working with them, we make a percentage of the advertising on those clicks. So, but the important part to take from it, though, is that we created a new way for artists to promote their music. These curators didn't really exist back in 3, 4, 5 years ago. There were a couple out there, and they've grown, but we've helped develop people from Melbourne bounce to trap to new disco to dubstep to deep house. Like every genre you can imagine now has a set of these curators that go out there and try to find the music. And those people, to me, are not only my closest friends, but they're my A&R as well. They help us find artists.
The artist gets promotion, but they don't make any money off that, correct?
It really depends, a case by case. Generally, what an artist does is they provide their track, and they sign over the license to have the track hosted on the YouTube channel, and they give up the advertising revenue on that track. But they do receive hundreds of thousands of plays, and they develop fan bases.
Which many of them arguably would pay for. Is that the logic behind the EDM District, that where publishers and labels would tell you that you are out of your mind? You built this network. That's why I love you, Mike, because you work fast. 550 channels in 1 year of curators, as you call them, that can push out other people's music to the world. And those artists that are submitting the music, they have to sort of relinquish their rights in a sense in order to receive this promotion that, honestly, I know a lot of them would probably pay for.
Yeah, and it's part of our belief that they shouldn't have to pay for it. It's a win-win on both sides, and I think it's been really successful. And you know yourself, as you've leveraged the platform on numerous occasions with your artists, that it can provide a very large amount of promotion traffic that didn't exist in the past. And another side to the A&R tip is that we've also developed tools that monitor the entire network and send us it flags when a video starts to go viral and starts to get real traction on it.
What is that? Yeah, what does that trigger on your end?
It basically just triggers a notification in our platform that says like this video right now is getting real traction. And we use that also as an A&R source because we can see, oh man, this artist we've never heard of, suddenly their video is taking off and this track is taking off. And we're discovering them really early on because generally the artists that are providing their content to these promotion channels are bedroom producers or producers that have just kind of signed to their first manager, and we're able to find them at an early stage and work with them through their whole career, and we're able to build the story with them. And that's kind of what I want to do with our artists at Monstercat. I'm not looking to see somebody who's been around for 10 years and has a large fan base and is already playing all the festivals and playing all these shows. That's not exciting to me. I want to work with a new artist who's got a real dedication and passion and build something with them. Like, that's exciting.
I'm with you. I love breaking artists. You know that. Let's take a question from the audience real quick. We have dropthebaseline.com who wants to know, Mike, any advice about explaining the value of a YouTube channel when attempting to land exclusives with artists?
I think the way to go at it, and the way a lot of people are doing it, a lot of people are doing it wrong at the moment. The YouTube channels are going to artists saying, hey, I want a license of your music to put on my YouTube channel. And then, of course, the artist is like, well, why am I going to give you my track and give you revenue? I think it's better to go out of these relationships and saying, hey, on average, I can provide 50,000 views to people in these countries at this age group, and I can put up your track the day it comes out, and it doesn't have to be exclusive. It could be non-exclusive. Like, it's really about working with these artists and their managers and the labels because it is a new form of promotion. And you have to remember the people who've been doing this for 10, 15 years, when they hear about like trying to give up royalties for something, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, 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 like you're not touching my royalties. Even if we're only talking $50 here, but it's just seen as it's not done. You're not supposed to make money off of my music. And it's really about creating partnerships and relationships with these people. Maybe on the first couple occasions you do let them claim the revenue. Maybe after that then you work out a deal where you are claiming the revenue, but you're providing extra promotion on your other platforms. It's about kind of creating these long-term stable relationships so that when you need them and they need you, you're able to work together instead of getting upset that maybe the first time it didn't work out and then talking bad about them to other people. Like, that's not going to help you in the long run. It's too small of an industry. Everybody knows each other. I'm up in Canada, and I still know most of the people in the industry. Like, we're really not that big.
Let's talk about you being up in Canada. Your team made a big move recently from Toronto to Vancouver. As an entrepreneur myself, we moved from 1 employee to 6 employees earlier this year. When we did, we similarly had to create that comfortable work environment that be conducive to our long-term goals. Talk to us about your team, your new office, and the future of your company and your new home.
Cool. Well, I'll do a quick past, present, and future. So when we first started, it was a handful of us in a cubicle, back-to-back in a startup environment in Waterloo, Ontario. It's actually where me and my partner went to university. So we started there, and we were growing, and it was comfortable, and we were happy. We had mentors. But we realized that we were only ever going to be a YouTube channel and a promotional network if we didn't make some big changes. And it wasn't just big changes in the company. We realized that we needed big life changes. We needed to turn everything upside down and start fresh and do something that's crazy. And to us, doing something that was crazy was picking up everything in a world that we had for the past 6 years of our life because of university and just moving across the country to the other side. And that's what we did. We came to Vancouver. And in Vancouver, it's a beautiful place with amazing art, amazing people. They call it Hollywood North for a reason. And when we got here, we started to look for a place to move our business to, and it was very apparent to us in the very early stages that we didn't want to be in a corporate atmosphere. We needed to find a place that was comfortable and that people could be excited about coming to work. And at the end of the day, if they wanted to stay late, they'd be comfortable enough to go sleep on the couch. And we didn't want people to feel like this was a work environment, but like they're home away from home in a sense.
Cool. And is anybody over the age of 30?
No, 28 is the oldest.
And how many do you have now?
We're up to 15 now.
Up to 15, okay. Yeah. Cool.
15 full-time people.
Well, Mike, I want to leave it with this last question here.
Cool, go for it.
Unlike myself, I admire your desire to still have fun. As you know, for me, work is fun, and it is for you too. But as entrepreneurs, oftentimes we're expected to put in 90 or 100-hour work weeks. It gets very intense. But there's a certain sense of youth and curiosity that I really admire about you, which I think one of the reasons you've been most successful. Talk to us about the work-life balance of Mr. Darlington.
I know where this question is coming from. As you know, I like to.
Hey, anybody out there, if you need somebody to show you around EDC Vegas, Mike is your guy.
You know what? The way to look at this was I got into dance music because I was a fan. I spent 3 nights a week in nightclubs. I spent every single weekend at the big shows and the festivals. I was in the crowd. I was passionate. I loved what I did, and I love what I do. And because of that, it made sense for me to get in the industry. And I've never really lost that passion. I still, say for at Ultra this year, I'm probably going to spend a couple days with the managers and the labels on the boat. But you know what? I'm going to spend a day in the crowd, and I'm going to have a good time. And you know what? It's been powerful for me because when we have meetings, we say, well, I wonder how people are going to feel about this, or I wonder what they're going to think about it. Well, we all know how they feel or how they think because we've been in the crowd and we've been around them, and we know what it's like. And I don't want that to ever change. Even though I'm getting older and I can't really do I can still do it, but I don't like to do the 14-hour dance sessions anymore. You know, I still am going to try to get out there and then be a part of it because it's such an amazing industry we're in, and we're allowed to have fun. I know sometimes you think you can't have too much fun, Jake, but we're allowed to have fun.
I know how much you love Gas Howder.
But yeah, that's just who I am. And when you said balance, you know what? We work 10 to 10 almost every single day in the office. But that doesn't mean that there's some nights we're going to go out and start work late because we're hungover, or go out on the weekend. Like, we're going to have fun. But at the same time, we need to remember that at the end of the day, we only have one shot at this. And we're looking to create something. And if we don't put everything into it, we're going to fizzle out. And we just can't let that happen.
I love it. I asked my last question, but we have a few more that came in from the audience, too, that I think are definitely worthy of being asked, and we'll leave it on that. What Monstercat track are you the most proud of coming from Sky Patrol Music?
Oh, man, that is such a terribly difficult question.
It's time to pick favorites, Mike.
I think that there's so many tracks that I'm I'm proud of to see that the artists have gone on and have really been able to build a career. But you know what? Actually, I do have a track, and I'm gonna say this, and I know some of our fans are gonna get upset and they're gonna hate me for it, but I am really proud of the track "Bleed" by Timmy Trumpet and Scandal, and I'll tell you why. That was a track that it was a completely different genre we'd ever done before. It was a different sound. We knew that people were going to be weird about it. We knew that it was opening up a can of worms. But the response we got from the community went from being, we hate this because it's so different, to switching to, we love it and it's our favorite song. And it was being able to see that people can still be flexible about doing something that is just so untraditional from what we had done. That made me feel really good. And you know what, there's probably a little bit of internal in the office being like, we're not sure if this is going to take off. And then, but you know what, it worked out. And I'm really happy about that because it's opened up more doors for us to try different sounds and different genres that we might not have done in the past.
Well, I'm proud of that because I remember the Stafford brothers who work with Timmy coming to me and asking me if Darlington and the Monstercat label were the real deal. And indeed they are. So congratulations to you on that one. And one last question from a name that I can't pronounce. It's like Anjo Bobo. How do you plan to give back to the fans after such support over the 2 years? MC16 is one example. Anything else?
I think that the one thing I'm trying to do more of is I want there to be still as much communication as there was in the past, and even more. I want us to be able to have hangouts where we can have like the fans come in and chat with us. I want us to be able to have better relationships on Twitter and Facebook and be able to have discussions. I think by giving away our new album, it was a great experience, and people were very passionate about the fact that we did give up selling something that our last 7 compilation albums that went #1 on iTunes. And this one we decided to give it away for free, and that kind of blew some minds. But to me, giving away free music isn't giving. Like, it's great for your fan base and it's great to give back, but I think that there's a bigger picture to giving back. I would rather them feel like they're more a part of who we are and feel like their opinion matters. And I feel like that is one way to give back, and really helping us make decisions based upon their opinion is what I really want to do more of in the future.
Mike, Darlington, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and good luck to you and Monstercat, and congratulations on all your success.
And thank you so much for having me, Jake. You've been not only my mentor, my inspiration, but one of my best friends for years now, and I can't wait for what we have for the next year. Thank you.
You've been just as great to me. Thanks, Mike.
Have a good night.
So guys, as we take off here, I want to thank you everybody for tuning in to 20 Something Live. We will be back next week with 3 new guests. Stay tuned on Facebook to find out who those are going to be. We'll be announcing them shortly. But before you go, there's 2 things to let you know about. We're also going to have a Song of the Week and a Book of the Week each week. So this week, the Song of the Week is coming from my friends Some Kinda Wonderful. That's SOMEKINDAWONDERFUL. It's all one word. And the song is called Reverse. It's starting to make some waves, and they're coming out on Downtown Records with their first album shortly. It's an incredible record by very inspirational people and incredible performers, so I urge you to check it out. As far as the Book of the Week, from my mentor and the guy that inspired me to begin writing my own book, Tim Sanders, Love is the Killer App. I urge you to read this. This book, above all else, has really helped me understand how to network and build meaningful relationships, where it's not always thinking about what's going to be in it long term for me. It's more about giving at the beginning of the relationship and any chance I can get to connect individuals without necessarily being concerned with what's in it for me. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, for supporting Corella, Pegboard Nerds, and the rest of my clients, as well as the Third Braid family as a whole. As for 20 Something Live in episode 1, we are out. Be sure to tell your friends. We will see you next week. Thank you, guys.